For most of his life, Michael Jackson has been in the spotlight, most recently because of what has been described as bizarre behavior.
Michael Jackson's name is tied to 39 Guinness World Records. Even after his death from 2013 to 2023, he remained the highest-earning celebrity. But Michael Jackson was not an ordinary person or an ordinary artist. Many claim that he slept in an oxygen chamber to slow down aging because he wanted to live up to 150 years. At his dream house, Neverland Ranch, he built many things to entertain children, including a Ferris wheel and a movie theater. But in August 1993, allegations of sexual abuse surfaced when 13-year-old Jordan Jalland said that Michael Jackson engaged in sexual activity with him. His sister also stated that her brother was a pedophile. Michael Jackson's death was described as the result of a very bad decision. Doctors found only drugs in his body for months, with no signs of food. He was left with bones and skin marked by injection traces. Many believe his death was not due to a drug overdose, but rather that he was murdered. Perhaps no artist will ever achieve what Michael Jackson had achieved. Despite his fame, his personal life was strange and complicated. From drug dependency to skin color transformation, everything remained disturbing and controversial. Michael Jackson's life was full of ups and downs. On August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana, United States, Michael Jackson was born. He was the 8th of 10 siblings in an African-American family. His parents were both connected with music. His mother played clarinet and piano, while his father, Joseph Jackson, was a guitarist and also worked as a crane operator. The Jackson family lived together in a 2-bedroom house. Their financial condition was poor, and that became the reason all the Jackson brothers began singing and dancing at a very young age. But it started as a difficult experience. Michael later said this phase was traumatic. Joseph Jackson formed a band with his sons when they were very young because of the family's economic struggles.
These 5 brothers will begin their summer tour of one-nighters at Madison Square Garden, and you're going to bust every record in the country. Wonderful to have you on our show.
Thank you.
Michael Jackson joined this band at only 6 years old. The group was called the Jackson Brothers, later known as the Jackson 5. Michael was the youngest but the most talented. However, during rehearsals, if Michael made mistakes, his father would beat him severely. Michael's nose shape was a little different, and his father would often mock him about it, which left a negative impact on him. This insecurity later became one of the reasons behind his many plastic surgeries. Michael's doctor later confirmed that to keep Michael's voice high-pitched, his father gave him injections to delay puberty. At the time, Michael was only 13 years old. Those injections caused many health problems later in his life. Over time, the Jackson brothers started getting popular. They began performing at schools, clubs, and public events, earning money from these performances. In 1969, American musician Berry Gordy signed them under the Motown banner. This association proved very successful as the group produced many pop hits like I Want You Back, ABC, I'll Be There, and more. After success with Motown, the Jackson family became financially stronger and later signed with Epic Records. With Epic, Michael began focusing on his solo career. His 5th solo album, Off the Wall, established him as a solo performer. But even before this album, in 1979, Michael Jackson underwent plastic surgery, his first rhinoplasty. He explained that his nose had broken during rehearsal and surgery was necessary to fix it. However, after the first surgery, he started having breathing problems, which led to another surgery. That was just the beginning of Michael Jackson's long journey of multiple surgeries throughout his life. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, began his journey to global stardom with his album Off the Wall. The record produced 4 top chart entries and sold over 20 million copies worldwide. By 1980, Michael Jackson had earned the highest royalty an artist had ever received at the time. After this success, in 1982, Michael released Thriller, which remains the best-selling album in the world to this day. The album included iconic songs like Billie Jean and Beat It. For Thriller, Jackson won 8 Grammy Awards. One special moment came on March 25, 1983, when he reunited with his brothers for a Motown anniversary concert. This was broadcast on NBC on May 16, 1983, and watched by millions. At this show, Michael Jackson performed Billie Jean solo and debuted the moonwalk, which became his signature dance move and one of the most iconic steps in music history. By 1983, Michael Jackson had become a global superstar. In November of the same year, Michael signed a record-breaking $5 million promotional deal with Pepsi. However, during the filming of a Pepsi commercial, his hair caught fire, causing third-degree burns. He underwent treatment, but this also led him back into more plastic surgeries, including rhinoplasty. Despite this, Michael's career soared. In September 1987, he launched the Bad World Tour, which lasted a year and a half and became one of the most successful tours in music history. He was breaking records everywhere, but controversies also began to surround his personal life. In 1986, a photo of Michael surfaced showing him sleeping inside an oxygen chamber. Rumors spread that he did this to slow down aging. Another major controversy was his changing appearance. In the 1970s, Michael looked completely different than in the 1980s. He had surgeries on his nose and chin, and most controversially, his skin color changed from black to very light. Many accused him of bleaching his skin to hide his African-American identity. Some believed he wanted to escape racism in the music industry. However, the truth was different. Michael Jackson was suffering from vitiligo, a skin disorder that causes white patches. To hide the uneven spots, he eventually lightened his entire skin tone. His dermatologist confirmed this in 1993, and after his death in 2009, the autopsy also revealed the same condition. To conceal his condition, Michael often wore gloves, hats, sunglasses, masks, and long-sleeved clothing. But his changing face and numerous surgeries drew intense public scrutiny. Over time, he also developed chronic pain, for which he began taking high-dose painkillers. This dependence led to drug abuse, addiction, and worsened his struggles with anxiety, loneliness, and depression. By the early 1990s, controversies grew more serious. In 1988, at the height of his career, Michael purchased 2,700 acres in California to build his dream home, Neverland Ranch, at a cost of $17 million. The estate was filled with rides, zoos, and entertainment facilities for children. But soon, disturbing allegations emerged. Jordan Chandler, a 13-year-old boy, and his father accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing him at Neverland Ranch. These allegations severely damaged his image worldwide. Adding to the controversy, Michael's own sister also spoke out against him, worsening the public perception. In an interview, Michael Jackson's sister claimed that her brother was a pedophile and that children were often paid money to remain silent and not expose him. After her statement, Michael's problems intensified. Police raided Jackson's home and discovered sensitive items, which led to an investigation that lasted almost a year. Due to lack of evidence, the case was eventually dropped. Michael reached a settlement with the Chandler family, paying $2.3 million. Many fans felt these allegations were fabricated and intended to damage his image. Later, Michael's sister admitted that her previous statements were made under pressure from her husband. Despite this, the events left Michael depressed. Health issues forced him to cancel projects and world tours. To avoid further controversies, he married a longtime friend, but the marriage lasted only a year and a half before ending in divorce. After a 2.5-year hiatus, Michael began preparing for a comeback with the release of his double album, History, Past, Present, and Future. However, one song, They Don't Care About Us, sparked controversy. Critics misinterpreted the lyrics, claiming offensive language and racial discrimination, although Michael intended to highlight social issues. In 1996, Michael embarked on the History World Tour, performing in India for the first time with a special appearance in Mumbai. At that time, it seemed he was leaving his controversial past behind and focusing on his most expensive album yet, which had a $30 million budget. He worked with artists including A.R. Rahman and Prabhu Deva. Before releasing Invincible, disputes arose with Sony over licensing and contractual terms. When no agreement could be reached, Michael terminated his contract. In 2001, he finally released Invincible, his last studio album, 6 years after his previous one. By 2003, Michael faced new allegations of child molestation and providing alcohol to minors. The trial in Santa Maria, California, lasted 4 months, and he was ultimately acquitted. However, the case left him mentally disturbed. Drug dependency worsened, and severe health issues, including insomnia, emerged. By this time, Michael also faced significant financial difficulties. He owed millions of dollars and was forced to sell Neverland Ranch and other properties. After 4 years of relative isolation, he began planning a comeback to address his financial liabilities. His comeback concert was named This Is It and was scheduled to begin on July 13, 2009. Tickets sold out within an hour, totaling $10 million, generating record-breaking revenue. Tragically, just days before the concert, Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009, due to a drug overdose. His death remains surrounded by mystery and controversy. Some claim it was accidental, others suspect foul play or involvement by music industry figures. At the time, Michael was under the supervision of 12 doctors and taking antidepressants, painkillers, and sleep aids due to years of anxiety, depression, and insomnia. He had experienced extreme sleeplessness, once going 5 days without sleep, and had used various medications to try to manage his condition. To help Michael sleep, various medications were administered, but none seemed to work. His personal physician eventually recommended the powerful anesthetic drug propofol, which is normally used in hospitals to induce unconsciousness for surgeries. On Michael's suggestion, the physician administered propofol, and it worked. From then on, Michael began using propofol every few days to sleep. Michael even referred to the drug as milk, treating it like a nightly ritual because, like milk, it was supposed to help him sleep. However, propofol is extremely potent and normally requires medical equipment to monitor the patient's vital signs. Even a slight overdose can be life-threatening. On June 25, 2009, the day of his death, the necessary medical equipment was reportedly not in place. The day before, Michael had completed his last rehearsal for the This Is It concert. That night, after eating dinner prepared by his personal nutritionist, he tried to sleep, but could not. Around 1:30 a.m., he contacted his personal physician, who initially administered medications such as lorazepam and midazolam. These had no effect. After 8 to 10 hours of attempts to help him sleep, Michael requested propofol. Initially, the doctor refused, but by 10:30 a.m., Michael insisted. The physician administered propofol, and Michael fell asleep. However, soon his body began reacting abnormally. His breathing stopped, and his pulse became dangerously high. The doctor attempted CPR and gave additional injections to counteract the effects of propofol, but nothing worked. Around 12:55 p.m., the physician called his assistant, who was unavailable, and then summoned a second medical team. Michael was rushed to the hospital, but by 2:30 a.m., despite all efforts, he had passed away. Michael's death raised many questions about negligence. His personal physician was later sentenced to 1 year in prison for involuntary manslaughter. Investigations revealed that proper medical equipment had not been used, oxygen was not administered when Michael stopped breathing, and help from a medical team had been called late, actions that could have reduced his chances of survival. There were also suspicions of external influences. Some suggested that disputes with Sony executives and other rivals may have indirectly contributed to the circumstances of his death. However, the post-mortem report clarified much. It revealed that Michael's stomach contained only drugs and food, and his body had survived for months, mostly on medication. His bones were intact, but marks from injections were found all over his body. The excessive doses of drugs, especially propofol, had overwhelmed his system and ultimately led to his death. Following the announcement, the world searched for answers. Online traffic surged so much that many websites crashed. Michael Jackson's memorial service became one of the most watched non-sporting events in television history. In the U.S. alone, over 30 million people watched the ceremony. Looking back at Michael Jackson's life, one can see a man who had achieved extraordinary success. He had everything a person could dream of: fame, wealth, and recognition as the most popular artist in the world. Yet, despite all these achievements, he faced struggles and challenges that no amount of fame could shield him from. Michael Jackson's life was a complex blend of genius, fame, controversy, and tragedy, leaving an indelible mark on history. If we study Michael Jackson's life from beginning to end, it becomes clear that his greatest tragedy was that he achieved everything he ever dreamed of, but it came at a cost. No matter how much success he attained, he could never fully enjoy it. Like many iconic figures, reaching such an extraordinary level of fame inevitably brought controversies and allegations, some of which were partially or entirely unfounded. Michael Jackson's story is one of immense struggle followed by unparalleled success, but also of scandals and controversies that shadowed his life. Despite his achievements, these challenges and tragedies followed him until the end of his career.